Okay, Don, are you ready? Tammy, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for January 12th, 2022 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the acting town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Granquist.
Here.
Trustee Long.
Here.
Trustee Meisner.
Here.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Wakeman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Here.
And Mayor Austin.
Here. Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
Acting town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Long.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Granquist.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
And Mayor Austin.
Yes. Trouble with that one, did we? Okay. Do we have any citizens that want to comment tonight? Any comments? Open floor. Y'all don't run up there and chat. All right, I'll skip that little spiel about the citizens' comment then, and we'll move on to the approval of the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion or comments on the meeting minutes of December 20th, 2021? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move we approve the meeting minutes for December 20th, 2021.
Second.
Acting town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Granquist.
Yes.
Trustee Long.
I will abstain. I was not here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
And Mayor Austin.
Yes. Thank you. And we'll have the town administrator's report. Administrator Powell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and trustees. First, I would like to read an email I received from the interim superintendent with the school district, Karen Tressler. I want to share this with you because I thought, a lot of times we hear the negatives, but it's so nice to hear the positives. So this was, she sent this to me on January 6th, right after the last snow event that we had. Cheryl, please let your staff know my sincere appreciation for all they have done to keep streets cleared and sidewalks shoveled to support us having school today. I was out and about last night after our board meeting and saw that crews were already at work. So in the early hours of the morning, after transportation was out checking roads, it was an easier recommendation to me on having a regular school day. On my way to the office this morning, the Milliken crew was still as busy clearing sidewalks and supporting our safety. I sure appreciate the care for our well-being. Thank you. So I thought that was very nice of her to mention and to take the time to email me the appreciation she has for our staff and the hard work that they do in snow events that we have. So, the engineering on the Cherry Street storm drainage project, the one that we received the $25,000 DOLA grant, will begin as soon as we receive the contract from them, which should occur at the end of this month. And I will let you know once that's here, because I'm sure the mayor will probably have to sign. The updated traffic study information that I've requested regarding the traffic incident that occurred on the intersection of Highway 60, Centennial Drive, and Weld County Road 23 3/4 should be to me either by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. And that, of course, I will share with you as well. John and I will be meeting with CDOT at some point here soon, I'm hoping, regarding the pedestrian crossings on Highway 60. John's been looking into the different types of crossing. I don't know what you would call them, signalization, if you will, and seeing what the costs on those are, and then we will meet with CDOT representatives to go over this with them. And hopefully they have a program in which they'll support some of the funding on this. The cameras at the dog park will be installed on Tuesday, January 18th. They are still waiting on a part for the one that will be installed at the skate park. So after this long process, most of it waiting on Xcel Energy to install the electric we needed, we should have cameras up and running very soon. So.
Okay, Administrator Powell, I'd like to follow up and see if we can get a volunteer day once the cameras are installed. See if we can get volunteers. I'll volunteer to go out and clean up, do a one-time cleanup of the dog park. It is so nasty out there, and the snow should be melted by then. And then after that, we move to ticketing people that leave their dog waste. I'm really hoping we see the license plate numbers. So if we could get a check on that, make sure we can see them, that'd be great.
Yep, I will let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else on your report?
No, ma'am.
Oh, the dog park finished it off, huh?
There we go.
Very excited to have those cameras. And the skate park will be done at the same time as well.
Now, the skate park, they're waiting on a part for.
As part.
Everybody's waiting on parts for one thing or another. Greeley Lock and Key is waiting on a part for the installation for that camera there. So I'll let you know when we hear anything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board have any other questions of the town administrator? Great job. Thank you. All right, on the consent agenda, we have the posting of notices for 2022 in the floodplain management services. I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Long,
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Granquist,
Yes.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Yes.
Here we go again. Just making doubly sure. All righty, now we're on our action agenda. First item is ordinance number 797, amending certain provisions of the Milliken Municipal Code, authorizing towing of non-motor vehicles in defined circumstances and authorizing the issuance of temporary parking permits. Matthew Gould, Town Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So this is an ordinance that was discussed at the work session 2 weeks ago. Initially, it focused solely on amending the towing provisions to make those applicable not only to motor vehicles, but also to other types of vehicles. Based on the input that was received at the work session, the draft that you have in front of you has a couple of extra sets of provisions in it. For example, the town administrator now has the authority to issue a temporary permit that basically allows certain types of parking in that would otherwise be in violation of the statute or of the ordinance. So that's a revocable temporary permit, and there are some time constraints that were put in place. This was built by me out of whole cloth, and I certainly can understand if we want to tweak it before it's approved, but I'm happy to address any questions. The one other point is, with respect to towing, except in the situation of an emergency, this does require an officer to make a good faith effort to determine whether there's a permit in place. And there's also a requirement that when a permit's issued that the town administrator would notify the chief of police. So hopefully that works. And again, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
And Mayor, if I can mention something that I actually ran across this last week in regards to a situation much like this. So I take my youngest granddaughter, two of my granddaughters, to KQA in the morning and pick them up. So this past week, there has been a white truck and white trailer parked along the schoolhouse on the KQA side of the road, which has been impeding traffic. It's not moved. As of this morning, it would be 72 hours. It has not moved because you can tell that where it snowed that everything's still in the same place, and it's a real nightmare there at that intersection in the morning because you've got parents coming and going, dropping kids off, and people leaving, and especially with snow on the road. I did inform the chief of this yesterday, that this vehicle has been there. Maybe they don't realize the ordinance that's in place, and I don't know if any contact has been made yet with the owner of that vehicle, but I can see a situation occurring there with something as lengthy as this vehicle, and it's kind of around a bend, so it's not even straight up against the curb. It's kind of going around a curve. Mm-hmm. So it's the situation, of course, is I'm sure is happening all over town in different areas at different times. And if this is a person working on his home, this would be a perfect situation to issue a temporary permit, and maybe to be able to contact them saying, hey, if you can back it up so that it's up against the curb while you're working on this instead of being coming around a corner, it would certainly help people being able to come and go, passing each other on the road. But I just wanted to mention that.
To that point, do you have a application already made up, or are you working on that?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll approve once an ordinance is approved, we'll go forward with that if the board sees to do so. So.
Other questions from Trustee Granquist?
None more for me.
Trustee Wong?
So this would then include like storage pods, roll-off dumpsters, any of that kind of thing?
I would say.
So the way that it's written, hold on just a second, let me look here. Find the right provision. So there are two provisions being added to Section 8230. One of them basically, let me just at a high level, basically if there is a temporary use permit that is in place under the land use code, then a person may, and that would be a context where like a pod might be the applicable type of unit. So in that case, then that's carved out from parking enforcement basically. And the other situation is where there is a temporary parking permit issued under this new language. So I didn't trust myself to conceive of every situation in which there might be a need to suspend the parking rules for a temporary situation. So I just, we have both the temporary use permit, which is under the land use code, and we have this new section.
Trustee Wakeman?
My concerns on this were 90 days seems like a long time for something to be parked that is a problem for other people, and then the ability to reapply for another 90 days. That's 6 months of to me, that's a long time for something that is should be kind of a temporary situation, or to me, people should find another possibility for parking something.
So I think to that point, it says no more than 90 days. So I think the permit could be issued 30 or 60, is that right?
Okay.
I do believe, as this is written, that the town administrator would have the discretion to issue a shorter permit. I don't think, because it's revocable, it's in the discretion of the town administrator, and so there's nothing that says it has to be 90 days. But this permit can be for up to 90 days.
With one renewal.
Yes.
So that's the 180 you're talking about, but it could be as short as if she says, oh, well, this is like right next to the school, it's going to be a problem, I'll give you a 15-day permit or something, come back and talk. right? Is that?
Yes, that's right. But at the same time, I would say that if we think that 90 days at a time, even as a maximum amount of time, is just too much, this is the kind of change that we certainly could accommodate,
Well,
if the board agreed.
Yeah, I think we need broad enough. We've had two in the past couple of years, two major house fires, where obviously they're going to have to come in. They're going to have to gut a good portion of the house, and you got construction materials coming in. So that's where I can see the 90 days and possibly another extension, not especially with our ability to get building materials nowadays. I can see why we would want to have that kind of leeway, especially when someone's been through a tragedy, and then just use common sense for, someone's got a pod and they're moving into the house, well, they need a few weeks. What do you think?
I don't think you want a pod for too long because
Yeah.
they're so pricey. I guess I would rather see us do like a 30-day permit with multiple renewals so that the people see that there is a time frame on it. Just thinking about the situation that Cheryl presented, to think about that one being there for, somebody's going to come in and argue, how come I only get 30 days when the ordinance says I could have up to 90? I would rather see us control it more so that we don't open ourselves up for that kind of situation with a resident. And certainly, I fully agree if it's demolition of a house or repair. I certainly understand it might take more time, but I think if we can allow it in that situation, in the situation that Cheryl presented, we don't want that there for that long a time, especially in that particular situation. Because it sounds to me like it's not by a house, it's just sitting there for whatever reason. And
I don't think we would issue it without just cause for the 90 days, but
okay,
yeah, we do.
yes.
I would have,
So let me just offer a couple of comments. First of all, I could certainly come back with another draft with maybe a 30-day initial period and up to 2 extensions. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is that we're looking at the issuance of parking citations. It's my understanding, because there were some that were dismissed in court recently, and so Fred is doing some research. We have an ordinance that allows the issuance of parking citations, but we also have provisions in the model traffic code. Fred is doing some research right now to try to understand what the proper manner of issuance of those is, whether it actually has to be personally served. And so that would be pertinent. That research, which is he's going to be hopefully getting completed, would be pertinent to our towing provisions, subsection number 5 under 8330. So if the board, to me, there's no rush on this. If you wanted us to bring this back to you and try to address those 2 issues before moving forward, be happy to do that.
Let's hear what the rest of the board says, and then it probably sounds like we need to table, but Trustee Rodriguez?
I'm going to have to agree with Trustee Wakeman. I think a 30-day issuance at first. I do understand that people have things that occur that are longer than that, and I agree that extending additional days would be better than doing 90 days, up to 90 days at first, is my opinion.
All right. Trustee Meisner?
Well, as I said during the work session, I think this is another example of government overreach. I think you are denying people the ability to make a living if they have to use a trailer. Now, I can full well understand a problem if there is a problem, like you Cheryl expressed about the truck and so on. Something like that, maybe that should be addressed. But I think the individual item should be addressed and not a overall item. I think if you got a problem with a trailer somewhere, it's impacting the neighborhood, it is impacting traffic, whatever, that's a different situation. But just to make a blanket ordinance that's going to cover every trailer in town, and there are a lot of them that are parked on the street, I think it's government overreach, and I'm opposed to it. And I will not vote for that ordinance.
I think we are talking about applying this when it is a nuisance, aren't we?
That isn't what it says. Basically, it covers every trailer in town that is parked on the street.
But we also need a mechanism for our law enforcement to be able to address and remove a problem.
I
It's on our
agree.
public road.
I agree completely. I do not agree with targeting people that are normally law-abiding citizens that work for a living, that use a trailer in their business. I think that's wrong. If they're not impeding traffic, they're not causing a problem, leave them alone.
I don't see that as the intent, but, okay.
Is there a way to conditionalize this, that this somehow applies on a complaint? Like, if there's a complaint, then we go to this for resolution?
So let me provide the context that's in my brain and see if that helps. We are taking existing towing provisions that apply to motor vehicles, and we are expanding those to non-motor vehicles. Okay, so the language and the powers that the police have are essentially remaining the same, and the circumstances under which towing can occur are listed in section 8330. For example, just reading the headings: interference with traffic or street maintenance, abandoned motor vehicles on public property, abandoned vehicles on private property, emergencies, and then number 5, which I mentioned, is vehicles with 5 or more unpaid parking citations. So the expansion is that we are, instead of restricting ourselves to motor vehicles, we're expanding that to non-motor vehicles, which would include trailers. But the procedures essentially and the powers remain the same. And again, this is because there was some uncertainty about how to deal with a trailer in essentially the same circumstances where a motorized vehicle, would have been subject to these powers. So it is basically when the police officer identifies the circumstances under the statute that action can be taken. So it's not complaint-based. And I'm hesitant to use nuisance terminology because that's another section of the code.
Okay.
So we're not just going to tow all trailers. It's only those that impede traffic, create a problem. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, commentary?
Yeah, I think opening a can of worms for a lot of extra work in-house for staff. When we start talking about parking permits, you're gonna have some issue, then you're gonna see all the other residents saying, oh, look at there, they can park, not even knowing that they have to go get a permit or apply for one. I think this part of the ordinance is I'm gonna say that I will not vote for it. I like the towing part of the thing, but the parking permit thing, I don't agree with at all.
So if somebody needs to put like a trailer or a pod on the street for a while, we wouldn't let them at all? Is that what you're saying?
I think it needs to be in the driveway.
But what if they,
Just like any other parking, I think it could be a problem in the street for emergency vehicles, for that kind of stuff. I think they belong in the driveway, if possible. Otherwise, I guess it's a case-by-case basis.
It seems like that case-by-case basis would then point back to a permit or something, right? Is that what you're thinking? Trustee Ehrlich?
Oh, it's the way to go.
I have trouble with,
I
case,
think it's gonna be abused, put it that way.
I have
You're gonna
trouble,
have some people apply for it the right way, and you're gonna have the other 20% apply for it, and you're gonna have 80% just abuse it, is my opinion.
I have a little trouble with the case-by-case basis. It leaves it open to bias. I think this is a situation where we need to have another work session on it and iron it out before we actually get it to the board for any type of voting. What are your thoughts?
I would agree with that. I think we need some more time from us.
I move we table it till the next
Second.
work session.
There you go. Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Granquist,
Yes.
Trustee Long,
Yes.
Trustee Miesner,
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes. Okay. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 22-02, Teen Character Award Sponsorship, Matthew Gould, Town Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The board may remember that it was approached several weeks ago with the idea of sponsoring a table at an event celebrating teen character with a number of designated individuals receiving this acknowledgement. I believe this is to occur in the fall. That's the only date I think I saw mentioned. This is sponsored by the Rotary Club and also YMCA of the Rockies. My only comment is that I have some concern about YMCA of the Rockies potentially creating a legal problem here. I only did some preliminary research because I didn't want to dig into this for an extended amount of time, but let me read the statute that has me concerned. The governing body of each municipality has the power to aid and foster by all lawful measures associated charity organizations by appropriations and to grant use of suitable rooms in the municipal buildings. And this is the language that's problematic. No portion of any money so appropriated shall be given or loaned to any society, corporation, association, or institution that may be wholly or in part under sectarian or denominational control. YMCA of Northern Colorado, and let me say that I believe these organizations perform an incredible amount of good. So I have no substantive objection to these organizations. YMCA of Northern Colorado is a trade name for Young Men's Christian Association of Boulder Valley, which is a nonprofit corporation. Based on some brief research I did, I have some concern that it might be deemed a sectarian organization if push came to shove. I think it's unlikely that anybody would complain or file any kind of lawsuit. I can't rule it out. I could research further whether it should be viewed as a sectarian organization. I did look as far as trying to find a definition for sectarian in the statutes, and I couldn't find one. And then there's a couple of bullet points here that might shed light on whether or not that would be the case. So I just want to share that information with the board before a decision's made on this.
Is it possible to make a donation to the Rotary who's sponsoring it and how they use those funds? Is that
Well,
them?
if reading the material that was provided, all the information that I could find was in those materials. It said the included sponsorship opportunities sheet indicates in bold print on the second page that, quote, sponsorship money will go toward youth scholarships for Rotary and YMCA programs. So there's no more delineation of how the money will be spent.
Okay.
I did not make any inquiries, and I certainly could. I don't know the timeline on this. It's something if we wanted to spend a little more time investigating, we could.
Okay, we'll go to comments from the board, starting with Trustee Miesner.
Personally, I don't have a problem with either Rotary or the YMCA. So as far as I'm concerned, unless the attorney comes up with some reason why we shouldn't be involved, I don't see a problem.
Trustee Rodriguez?
I guess I'm just a little concerned that we could potentially have issues with everybody being so Sue happy these days. I see that could be an issue.
Trustee Wakeman?
I think this is a very fantastic thing to do. I think any opportunity that we have to recognize youth, honor youth is, it's a great thing. I'm not convinced that I believe that it's something that a governmental entity should be involved in. I think this is a business or social type thing that members of a community could sponsor. I need a little bit more information on whether our town government should be involved in it.
Trustee Long?
I do have reservations that we may be opening ourselves up to, as you said, some kind of lawsuit at some point, but I don't necessarily believe it's kind of an all or nothing situation. I would be curious to know what our timeline is and if we have time to find out if there's other options or ways for us to address this, that we may still be able to be involved, but maybe not the way that it's written now.
And Trustee Grunquist?
I don't see, being a Christian myself, I don't see any problem with supporting them. However, my biggest issue is what she said, it was what I was going to say to begin with, is that government supporting these things, as I'm very cautious about us spending taxpayer money to support. I'm all for, if businesses in town or people want to get together, we can actually say, hey, this is a great thing, post it on something. I'm very leery about us as a government spending taxpayer dollars that are required of people and then allocating that, because that opens the door to, okay, then what, then we're just reappropriating this distribution of wealth in a different, under different guise. So that's my personal opinion.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I don't have a problem with making a donation, but I'd like to see if there's a way to make the donation to the Rotary Club and let them proportion it the way they feel needed and eliminate the wording with the YMCA. I think we need to investigate and see if that's an option. I do like supporting the local youth. I think it's great for the community, and I know that there's other towns that do it all, so I know that it means a lot to the local youth.
Mm-hmm. Did you have an additional comment?
Yes, if I may say one more thing. I think it would be unfortunate if we find a way or are able to support this through a Rotary Club merely because of the word Christian in the YMCA's name. To me, that would be almost penalizing an organization for being Christian. So I think either we do it or we don't. I would say we don't, not because of the name Christian in their name, not because of the legalities of it, but I say we don't do it because it is taxpayer money that we're reappropriating. I think that's for our community to decide.
So I'd like to throw out an alternate solution. The Milliken Events Committee does raise sponsorship from businesses, private people. I can go back to the board of the Milliken Events Committee and see if they would be willing to take up the table sponsorship, if that would be acceptable. Administrator Powell, do you see an issue with that?
No, ma'am, I don't, but I think Attorney Gould wanted to let you know, so this event is being held on March 10th. So
Time is tighter than I realized.
it's not in the fall, it's the spring.
I don't know where I saw fall. I read somewhere.
I read that somewhere too, Paul.
Yeah, the Milliken Events Committee will be meeting in the next week or two, so we could get it resolved. quickly.
I do think it'd be nice to have a resolution of some sort that recognizes the event and those teens that are earning awards. I'm happy to do that. I think that's a good thing we can recognize and point to the accomplishments.
Correct. So if the Milliken Events Committee sponsors a table, barring any issues from any board members, there needs to be representation from the town, and I would, being that I'm on the Milliken Events Committee, I would step out. I just feel that that would not be appropriate, so we would need to select somebody to attend the awards as representing Milliken. Does the board have any issues with Milliken Events Committee sponsoring a table if we go to the board and it gets approved?
No, I think it's an excellent suggestion.
Okay. It just removes the problem in its entirety.
No, I think it covers the bases.
Okay.
I have no issues.
All right, I'll take a motion on the matter. Word it carefully there, Derek. Trustee Granquist.
Give me 1 second.
We just have a motion to.
I move we allow the American Defense Committee to sponsor a table for this event.
I'll second it.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Beat you.
Trustee Biesner?
Yes.
Trustee Long?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Granquist?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
We're going to get 2 yeses.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes. Thank you.
So part of my hesitation was, do we need to include, or is that a separate request to get the resolution? I don't know what the process is for that.
I'll put it in my notes to bring a resolution of support back, and we have time for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now the part that I've been waiting for. Four Towns Regional Broadband Project. Cheryl Powell, Town Administrator.
Yes, this has been an exciting journey, let me tell you. Actually, I don't know what's more exciting, the water stuff or this. So anyway, it's been a fun past 6 months doing this. So the 4 towns have met and interviewed 3 separate providers of broadband. They were all unique in their own way. But when it came down to the services that could be provided, the cost to the town, which in this case would be 0 to minimal, and the history that this company has, the towns have decided that this would be the best provider for our 4 communities. This one was also the only one that provided, so they have it's phone, internet, and TV. Some of them would do phone and internet, but not TV. So for older citizens, that would make it very difficult if they decided they wanted to be on a broadband system. So they would have to learn to stream on their televisions, and some people can do it and some people just can't. So that kind of takes away the issue there. And there really isn't much cost difference in speaking to them what they charge other communities. So anyway, we're on our way. We'd like to have something in place by the end of March. This provider has said that if we can do something of the sort, they're looking that they could possibly begin in all 4 communities by September of this year. with, I believe it would be, I'm trying to remember, because if this one was going to be less than 2 years build out, so. What we're looking to do is to create a memorandum of understanding, all four communities together, same memorandum, and bring it back to council and town board and have it approved that way. But this keeps us moving forward.
Okay.
And it allows us to let the communications company know that they're our selection.
Okay, comments from the board. Trustee Granquist.
None at this time.
Trustee Long.
Nothing for me.
Trustee Wakeman.
I just have a question on when it would be operational. I understand 2-year build out, but would there be areas that would be?
It would start in some areas prior to others, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not that the whole town has to.
No, it wouldn't be all lit up at once.
Like a Christmas tree. There you go. Anything else?
Yeah.
And the other thing I liked about this company as well is that they look to the future. So currently, a lot of companies offer, 1 gig, going to the home now. You can get less than that at lesser cost. But they actually install it to be able to go up to 10 gigs. So you have to go back and redo 5 years down the line or whatever it is down the line where we're at that point. So
Unless we went over 10 gigs.
Yeah.
that'll be somebody else's problem.
Trustee Rodriguez, any questions, comments?
No questions, no comments.
Trustee Meisner.
Oh, I only have a comment. I think this has been a long time coming.
I agree. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, questions or comments?
I have no questions or comments.
Well, I'm just going to say, great job, Administrator Powell, on getting us to this point,
Thank
combining
you.
with the 3 other towns, and the fact that we originally thought this was a $60 million project, which, our citizens can't afford. Getting it for the cost of the consultants, I guess, owner's rep.
I mean, there's work on our end. We'll have to, when it comes down to the time to start installation, we're going to have to move our permits through fast. We'll have to do bulk permitting, and that's, Pepper, I'm glad you're online because you're going to, and Carrie will have to work with us on that. But I think there's something we can do.
Well, that was going to be my question, is do we need to hire temporary help for 6 months to a year to push through permits?
We'll have to see.
Okay.
We'll have to see. We'll talk to other communities to see what they're doing. Currently, right now, this company is installing fiber in Greeley.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
we're
is
close.
This company is more of are they actually going to be the ISP, the service provider for this?
Yes,
Okay, so they will be the customer service and all of that.
absolutely.
And do they have a projected cost per rate or anything like that? I see some costs in here as a whole, but not like what's an expected per household monthly cost for an X amount of speed?
I think all that will be worked out in the memorandum of understanding.
Okay.
And then at some point in time, we'll each have our own separate franchise agreements.
Okay.
So, it's a win-win for the town. We'll receive franchise fees on a product we didn't install, much like we do with CenturyLink and others.
Okay.
So it's exciting.
This is fantastic, Cheryl.
Thank you.
I know that it was probably a year ago, a little over a year ago that we talked about it. So
Right.
Knowing that the other communities had put the procedure in place and we were behind until our election this fall, I'm thrilled.
Well, and the thing of it is, sometimes when you band together individually, they wouldn't have looked at any one of us.
Yes.
At all. But working as a collaborative group,
Right.
It made all the difference in the world. So,
right.
and it was a fun adventure.
Great.
We're not done yet.
I'll take a motion.
I move to authorize the town administrator to develop a memorandum of understanding with Allo Communications for broadband deployment in the town of Milliken for consideration at a future board meeting.
Second.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes?
Trustee Long.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Granquist.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes. Okay, we've got nothing on the discussion agenda, information agenda. The police department provided a written report. Just wanted to make a couple of comments on information in there. There's been a lot of talk in our town of the number of accidents that we've had, especially out on Highway 60. And Chief, why don't you go ahead and join us in case you have any input here. You may notice in there, we've had 7 people cited for speeds between 20 and 39 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. Speed is often a factor in accidents. We've had 9 traffic accidents in town. On the state highway alone, we were averaging, I went back and did some calculations, about 5 tickets a month. And here in December, our officers wrote 17 tickets. Yeah, that's a 240% increase. I did see a couple of officers sitting right out there past Alice, and obviously they were still catching people. They're sitting out in plain sight. They're not hiding. They're not hiding behind anything.
Yeah.
And it's just terrible. We didn't get a code enforcement officer report. Will that be coming next month? Code enforcement?
Oh, that should have been added to the, I submitted that.
Okay.
I submitted that to Carrie.
Then it's
We'll
my
take a
fault
look.
because I put the packet together, so maybe I missed it, so.
We need to keep you in better putting these together. You've gotten a little too far away from the process.
I'm down to half staff, so.
So,
But I will say this,
Are
though.
you volunteering?
I'd like to give
The
the
code enforcement officer, he wrote about 25 tickets the last, I'm going to say about 20 tickets the last month, so
Okay.
he is keeping busy as well.
So, could you comment a little bit about the traffic? I'm sorry,
My
what?
summary is the code enforcement report.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just labeled something different. Okay. Could you comment about the amount of traffic through town that you discovered?
Yeah, several weeks ago, we did a traffic count, and within a 2-week period, we'd had over 44,000 vehicles pass through Milliken on Highway 60, which, a lot of that leads into the traffic accidents. What's happening is most of the traffic accidents are happening during the morning rush hour and the evening rush hour. So during those times, the traffic is just so heavy, so there's not a lot of break in the flow of the traffic. So what the vehicles are doing is they're trying to get out into traffic from waiting. So, and I think that's causing the impatience of a lot of these traffic accidents. And it's vehicle error or driver error. A lot of the accidents, people are pulling out in front of folks, pulling out in front of oncoming traffic, but I do believe that the large amount of the flow of traffic is creating an issue. 5 o'clock, between 5 and 6, maybe 4 and 6, you can't get out here. You can't get out onto Highway 60. It's at least a 5 to 10 minute wait. And that's what's happening in the mornings as well. Excuse me. Yes.
That consistent flow, does that start to break up because of the stoplight down here and or here? Do you see breaks where it allows people to get out because of the stoplight or not really?
Well, during that time, if there's a red light, traffic will get backed up. Once that green light goes, I mean, it's just a constant flow, probably from way out here. Sometimes if it's that backed up, but mostly to the apartments. So when that green light hits, you got about 30 vehicles going that way. So there's not too much of a break coming out that way.
Is there a possibility, it's probably a CDOT issue, but is changing the timing on that light at Alice in the peak times an option? So that we can create a bigger gap in traffic going down 60?
I'm not sure, but we can definitely look at that. We can research that for you. Yeah, we'll take a look. And then maybe when you meet with the folks from CDOT, that's a question that you can ask.
You know, in addition to that, I have noticed, I try to avoid the schools when kids are being let out or school is taking up, and people are just so intent on their own needs. They're not paying attention to what's happening around them. I don't know if we could do a campaign through our newsletter that says, slow down, pay attention, all the things that we know people should be told, but I just feel like people are so anxious and so intent on what they're doing that we need some wake-up reminders that.
Yeah, definitely. We can reach out to the schools and see if they can put out a newsletter.
And we can put in ours.
We can put we can do it to town's newsletter as well.
Safety campaign.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of it is distracted driving, not paying attention, especially around the school zones. We do have our code enforcement officer out there in the mornings. That's one of his duties also, is to patrol that area. And but yeah, we're seeing a lot of distracted driving out there.
When you're northbound on Quentin to turn west on 60, that left turn lane, the last 2 times that I was through there, the left turn signal would not trigger.
Okay.
I don't know if they can report that and see if they can get that checked out. I know there was 2 times, and I haven't, but it was specifically after the snow, that you sat there and I went through 3 cycles and ended up having to go on a red, because it just wasn't triggering. So.
A board member ran a red line?
I didn't run it. I walked right.
Recorded.
You rolled. You do know I got, a couple of years ago, a $150 speeding ticket, me, the mayor.
But I waited, and it was clear. I looked both ways, all 4 ways. No, but that's the thing, you sit there, and then the person behind me ended up having to do the same thing. They sat there, wait till it's clear, and then go, because instead of that, you go up and make a U-turn and go, there's no sense in that.
Yeah. My suggestion would be to let us know.
Okay.
When it's happening. We'll go out there and we'll contact CDOT. But there may be times if it is doing that, the lights are malfunctioning. So we may have to go out there and just watch for traffic, make sure traffic is flowing.
Okay.
But definitely give us a call next time, and we'll call CDOT. We'll call CDOT tomorrow. Just have them take a look at that.
Okay.
Other questions of Chief Garcia? Any other business? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Checkmate.
And we're out for the evening. Thank you, everybody, for attending our meeting.
Can you recording stopped?